Does that work? Can you hear me now? Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. Okay. So we're at Dark Helmet Racing League Season 10, Round 6. We're at Indianapolis tonight. Grand Prix circuit started in the wet for the qualifying in the sprint, and then it dried out for the feature. The tire of choice to start the feature looks like it was dry, so the track has dried just enough. So now let's get into this. We have a few incidents because of the wet, but here we got turn 1, lap 1 of the sprint. We got Mooney on the inside in 70, and then I think this is Sean in the 8. And they're definitely all aware of each other. They're side by side here going in. There's still overlap going in at turn in. Mooney doesn't quite get all the way to apex, but I'm not worried about inches here. Somewhere sitting, that's what she said. So he clips into Sean, and Sean gets back into Mooney and spins Mooney. So I'm going to leave this one as racing incident. Really, nobody was at full fault here. Everyone was giving just the basic amount of room they needed to, and the contact was so minuscule that started this that I'm not too worried about it. So racing incident between those two, and thank you for Mooney for waiting patiently as everyone went past. And it's a pretty scary place to sit, facing the wrong way in turn 1, that's for sure. No action there. Was there any tip to the nose there on the way through? No, okay. This isn't across the racing line. So no action there, and it was Todd behind him, yep. I like how it gave 2x to Todd. No action there. So that is our sprint. That was it. So great job in the sprint for everyone to get through there with the incidents that there was. Like for the conditions that there was, you guys did great. Thank you very much. Alright, into the feature. So this is end of lap 1. So if we look up ahead, we got the blue Porsche here, turning down onto Troy on the inside, not leaving enough room, spinning himself, which does cause a stack up here. So Brandon gets back into the back of Troy, Vincent gets to the back of Brandon, and then this BMW, which I'm not too sure it is, gets in the back of Brandon, spits Brandon to the side a little bit, and then Brandon has, I believe this is Doug beside him. And everyone's just kind of scattering. If you watch it in full speed, it's a lot happening really quickly. So stack up, hit, quick hit, and then there's a car on the inside. So the first contact here between the blue Porsche is what I'm going to go to first, which is Christian and Troy. So this is Christian. And he doesn't leave enough space on the inside, so there's got to be a car width of space between the blue line here and the car, because Actually, doesn't need to be. Let's watch all the points of the corner. So braking, turn in, apex. So a braking point, which is about here. There's no overlap at turn in, which is happening. There wasn't any. So this is a bit of a gap that's always going to close that Troy is going into here. Was he in control? Let's watch that. So I would say yes, Troy is in control. So really what we say for overlap is in our rule set. I think I have it declared. Let's just look at that for a second. What is the amount of overlap that deems when the bumper of the car behind is to the edge of the rear tire of the front car, overlap has been achieved. So front bumper to rear tire. So let's go to cam tool. So we're looking for the bumper here to be even with the rear tire. And if we roll this through frame by frame, he only gets overlap achieved there. And it's enough for me to be okay with it. We purposely make this rule so it's enough of the car. Like, yes, some leagues will say rear front tire to door. Here we're trying to make it so that we have less incidents. So we say the overlap is very minimal. That needs to start. So front bumper with the rear tire here. Some cars have a little bit more gap here, so they can get spun easier. But this is enough for me to say that car 20 should have given car 8 room, which then caused the spin. And did give some people some damage. He did lose spots because of it. So I'm going to say here it's similar to last week. It's just going to be a 1 point. For avoidable contact. There was no real major loss of position to those involved, and no major damage to anybody involved, really. Okay. So that's noted. Brandon's part of that, so he's noted. Vincent was part of that, noted. And Michael was the BMW that got in the back of Brandon. So right there. So noted on that one. And then Mooney is also in this. So I'm just going to leave everyone that was additionally involved as noted. Let's see what happened there with the right camera now. All right. So let's keep an eye on this seam here. We can see that Brandon in the Corvette was on this line and Troy came over. I believe Troy immediately he stops, I think. Yeah, let's Brandon keep going. So that's part of our rules. If you get into somebody, but in this case, Yes, he gave the position back, but there was quite a lot of damage done here. Like that was a pretty high impact into the wall for Brandon. And I'm sure if I go look inside his car here. So let's go up to Brandon. And then go cockpit. If I can get in this car. There we go. So you can just see the steering wheel here. And then left hand down on the steering wheel. So we can say there's significant damage there. I don't need to keep on looking at this. Can I look up? Nope. Alright. So because of that, I'm also going to give this a similar penalty to the other one because of giving the position and making sure that the position was, maintained. There is damage here, but I'm going to do avoidable contact 2.5 for the contact here. It's in the middle of the straight, and it's definitely avoidable. It's a pretty clear-cut one in this case. Okay. Another one noted. Vincent. Okay. So we have a battle for position down the front straight here. So it's the 35 passing the 21. A lot of contact there that didn't need to be there. Let's keep an eye on the seam here. And who moved where? So let's keep an eye on the seam. I would say the 35 staying on that, and the 21's moving over. 21's still moving over. There's a car there. Still moving over. Still making contact. Continuing to move over to get even closer. Now we go into the corner. Now to say this is going to be a good overtake, they must make the corner and exit. We don't allow the Formula 1 style, just run people off the edge of the track. So here, a car width must be granted. If we look at our rules, I have in place for passing apex to exit, drivers with overlap at apex will be required to maintain control and leave one car width on exit of the corner. So that's what we're going to talk about here, leaving a car width of space to this white line, not to the curb, to this white line. The white line is the edge of the track. Right there we can see it wasn't given. So this will be on the 21. And I really didn't like the contact on the front straight. Like, there's plenty of room there. Contact in a straight line isn't something that we want to see in this league. As we saw with the other incident, it can turn somebody pretty easily. So here, I'm just going to leave it with the exit one. So failing to leave space, which is a 1 point. Driver fails to leave one car width to track edge, resulting in a car being forced off track on exit or is forced to avoid contact. So that's a 1 point here. So driver of the 21 failing to leave space. Okay, and then his partner there, noted. Blake, No action. And then we have an accident after the finish, which I'm not really worried about. I've already looked at this on as the race finished. So here you have a wet part of track out here. You can see the spray is starting to come up as soon as we get in here, and I think Caesar was going to do some donuts, and you had Mooney who was coming in to go to the left, and then Caesar moved at the last second, so I'm not worried about this contact after the finish, but there was nothing wrong with this. So just noted for my purposes, but nothing else there. Mooney continue to have contact after the race. What is this one? Who was that? And why did that happen? So this one will be a penalty, this one? We purposely say no post-race incidents to avoid you getting into other people, and in this case you did clip somebody else on your post-race crash. So per our rules, it's actually a 5-point penalty to have a post-race incident. I'm going to use some discretion here and not go that far, and I'm just going to do a 1 point because one, the contact wasn't severe and it was not something that would have hurt anybody, but you got to keep in mind, especially people using direct drive wheels and things like that, this can hurt people. It can snap their wrist, their wheel in their hands, and like give them tweak their wrists and stuff like that, which is just not cool. We don't want to hurt anybody. So, driver of the 80. Steward's discretion, 1 point. With that one. All right, so that's it for tonight. On Tuesday, let me pull up the schedule here. Tuesday and the M2s, we are at Muskogee. So that should be a really tight battle with the M2s. Lime Rock was insanely tight and great battling through the field. I think the top 5 were at one point less than half a second covered like the top 5. So that was how the racing went, and the more people can get up for that, the better. And then on Sunday, for this next week, we are at VAR for full course. No rain anymore. We're done rain for the season, and it'll be a rolling start at VAR. So we're starting to get into the period where the last race before drops, and then drops start taking effect. So if you can make it on Tuesday, join us on Tuesday. If you need to miss that, hope to see you on next Sunday. Thanks, everyone.